fourth house. The fourth house is the other house that helps to form the roots and the identity that you are given as you're growing up from those around you. It is how people see you that are the closest to you, and it also represents the home, the hearth, mom and dad, especially mom, and your nuclear family. So brothers, sisters, anyone, if grandma or grandpa lived in the house with you growing up, then that would also be fourth house energy. Whereas third house energy, let's say they live just on the other side of town, then they would be in the third house a bit more. It applies differently depending on your own situation and life experience and circumstances. So the fourth house is roots, it's mom, it's where you are nurtured, where you grow in those really foundational years. So it represents childhood, it represents nostalgia in that way, and it also represents where you would like to live as far as what you want in energy around you that makes you feel comforted, nurtured, safe and protected. This is like mama bear energy, you know, keeping the little kids safe while they're growing up and learning. Fourth house feels like home, a really nice home-cooked meal, if that's the case, or a warm fireplace. Just that, those like really like, you're in your safe little cozy nook. Ideally, that's how growing up should be, right? That's kind of a fairy tale growing up story, and it doesn't mean that that has to be yours. So if you look at your fourth house and you see which signs or sign occupies that fourth house, it's going to give you a lot of info around like your physical environment, that like things. Okay, for example, I have a lot of air and water in my fourth house, and so that means I need an environment near a body of water. I live by the ocean, and I always have, and moving away from the ocean, just any other body of water could do also. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't like to live by a lake or a river or something like that, but there needs to be some form of water if you have a water sign occupying your fourth house, which is a water house. It's cardinal water. So it's how you lead. Lead isn't the right word. Cardinal means that there's a clear direction. There's a very, very clear way of initiating a new energy and going forth in that new energy. And so it would be really, really important that you lead with your heart. That's the best way to say it. Yes. This is the house where you lead with your heart. And so if you look at what's happening in your fourth house, if you didn't have that fairy tale growing up scenario, it will be indicated in that fourth house depending on what planets or luminaries or anything is in your birth chart. So between the third house and the fourth house, they're like the roots of the tree, and that tree grows up and the branches come out at the 9th and 10th house, which we'll get to, okay? But it's very much about how you understand who you are because of how you grew up. Like when you're little, you might have had nicknames given to you by family members before you even understood what they meant or before you could have control over that. 9th and 10th house is the opposite. It's how you decide how your identity, how you want your identity to be in the world, how you present yourself in the outer world, and how people know you based off of the work you do, the service you provide, how you show up. Okay, it's very different than how family members like nicknames or how they might, recall how you were when growing up. All of that info is down in the third and fourth houses.